of a body of work. And you're like, oh, actually, I know what my good writing feels like.
Right.
You know?
But, yeah.
That's literally the quote, one of the quotes that from Ernest Hemingway that was like, the writer's greatest gift is a shit detector or something like that. I can't remember how it went.
Well, my shit detector was blaring red the whole time I was writing this.
That was
you got something out though.
This is
yeah, I got something out. Yeah. I mean, I had a bunch of stuff that I thought I could post, but then I had written it like 2 weeks ago, and I was like unsure if it was okay, so I decided not to. But if you look at the Google Docs, there's like a whole other chapter. Yeah. Like I don't.
You added another chapter on top of.
Well, it was because it was already there before I started the.
Oh yeah.
Which one did I post?
All right.
Yeah, because I.
Who should we start with?
Yeah, so I never posted the other chapter. Okay, yeah, you guys can start with my stuff.
So I just need to refresh my brain on it.
So it was dialogue, right?
It
was mainly dialogue.
Yeah, it was literally just like a tiny scene.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like this is cool, like within the whole context, like you having the conversations. But for me, it kind of felt like it would have been cool to like have like what the person says, but like then be able to like feel like know where they are positioned in the world, you know, like to have a bit more like description of the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it just like that would kind of could have anchored it a bit more because the dialogue kind of felt floating.
That's good feedback.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting the way that so normally we get in each like of the sections you've been posting, we get really familiar with one character. And this time it was a big group of characters. And at first I was like, I'm really confused. There's so many characters. But then I kind of thought that I was like, it really made them seem as if they were a unit and made them being a unit and a group really important. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that like, I wish you could, like, I know you don't really like the piece anyways, but I wish that you went even deeper into that because I'm like, that's like having all of them be described as being a group together and like working together and doing like the things that they did together as opposed to like separate characters was really interesting compared to the other parts, but there wasn't like enough on them for me to like really understand who they were.
Yeah, there wasn't enough meat. It was literally just like throwing stuff out there.
But it was like a very good skeleton.
Thank you. Yeah. Did you like what did you guys think of the different characters? I'm just like there are 4 characters in this. There's Admund, there's Norden, Raskog, which are by the way like IKEA furniture names.
That's funny.
And yeah, like you see the table right there. That's a Norden table.
Oh, hold on. Where are you?
Yeah, right there. This thing. That's a Norden table. It's just I don't know. I went to IKEA. I was like, oh, I have Nordic names now. So, yeah. I was wondering, like, what did you guys think of the characters? Like, did you? If I were to ask you, like, Talhia, like,
yeah,
I name you the 4 characters. Can you tell me who they are and what they're doing in that scene? Like,
well, I feel like I didn't get enough character description. I mean, I feel like I really but I like there were things like he was the sort of man that makes a mug look like a dangerous weapon. I just giggled. Like I like this kind of like this. You gave such
Good line.
like a vivid picture of the character. It's a really good line.
Thank you.
You know? Yeah.
I might keep that.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like you do get some kind of picture of the characters because you've got like Raskog who's like looking over his map frantically, and that's maybe like more of his characterization is that he's like, oh my god, we've got to like find out where we're going. What are we doing? Like, but I mean, it's in there, but I think I agree with Lila. It's a good skeleton. It's a really nice skeleton. Like,
well, I think like also because I agree that like each character doesn't have like me. If you when you said that question, I can't associate each character with a name right now because it's they're not clear and just like I don't know how to explain it. I'm not like, oh yes, this is I don't know, Norden, is that the name? And I know exactly which character he is, but I know what types of character belong in the group. Like in my head I picture them and I'm like, oh yeah, like there's the really strong one, there's a like awkward short one, and then like I have a very clear imagination of the group as a whole.
Oh, that's a really good way of putting it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you, Antoine?
Yeah, it's very good feedback.
Okay. Cool.
I just don't know if I'm gonna have the motivation of working on that piece again. Just
That's fair.
I don't know. It's just like
You should keep notes written somewhere for it anyways, just in case you do.
Yeah, well, it's gonna stay in my. I have the whole thing in document, right? Still there. I might just not work on it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other
Cool.
question? Like, did you guys know where the characters are? Or is
Where
that not-
they are? Well,
Yeah.
it felt like they were en route somewhere, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But not I don't actually know exactly where. Because they mentioned like Velen at some point going there, and they were like, "Oh no, we can't go there. Oh no, there's the castle there. Oh no." I don't know why they're scared. That's what I want to know. I want to know who. I don't remember which one because I read it yesterday. I don't remember. One of them is like, "No, what? This is wrong," and I don't remember. I want to know why now.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your feedback.
Thanks for writing.
Yeah.
It's fun. Okay, so I guess we can move on. That was pretty quick. It was pretty efficient. We're getting good at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Either we're getting good or just like.
Well, I think.
Or we're getting really bad.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I don't think we need to be like overly like. I think we started out and we're like, oh my god, it's so good to chat about this stuff, but we can also be like very succinct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is. I mean, yeah. If we have time to process our thoughts beforehand, then we can be very quick about it, right? I mean, at that point, it's the same thing as just writing a post. So I would still prefer having the conversation, the feedback directly. So where do we move to? Anyone wants to go?
I have my notes for Talhia right here, so we can do that if that's okay. I just read it, so it's super fresh in my brain. I thought there was a really good connection between Alba and Mirelle. I don't know how you say her name. I thought the connection was really good between them. And I don't know if that like came from after we talked about it last time, but it just seemed like more developed and I knew a bit more about the characters. And then this is like I don't know how to like phrase this note exactly, because at first you have a sentence that says, "Hey, do you want to do the neighborhood?" And I was like, what does that mean? But then I kept reading and I like immediately understood. And I was like, I'm so silly for not understanding what that meant. So like for me, that shows a really good sense of like speech, like kid speech.
Mm-hmm.
Like they talk. they talk like kids. Like, do you want to do instead of like saying, do you want to go draw it's very clear that they're young. The one thing Alba's younger, right? That's okay. So that's also super clear. But I don't have an exact sense of how old Mirelle is. Like, I'm like, she could be anything from like 10 to like 15. I don't know yet. So that's the only thing that I'm like curious about, is seeing her.
I think like age that she's like almost 3 years older.
Oh, did you write that in?
I think in this one it was included, like talking about her drawing abilities.
Oh, maybe I just missed that. But I mean, I could see it it would be nice to see it in the way she like talks, also, to be able to like tell how old she is, I guess. So she's 10. No, 11.
So Alba, how old's meant to be Alba? Alba's meant to be like 9, so she'd be like
9.
Like 10 or like 11 or 12.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's it. Oh, I did have another thing, actually. Where did I write? Yeah. I'm confused about the power thing at the beginning. It says that it was one of her powers to move things with her mind, and the psychic has instructed her to move the clouds. I really like that, like, visual, but I am just like a real power, or yeah.
Well, okay, so the way I see it is that at this stage in the story, like, Garmel has become more integrated in their lives.
Okay.
And so Mirelle has like been told that she has special powers. And so, and like, yeah, and I mean, I want it to read kind of weird, but maybe that, cool. You know, like that, because it's like, it's a little bit magical realism, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Cool. But that's a really good note. Like, because it's like, yeah, it's like special child being told that they have special powers, and then so she's gone to a room to pretend, or not to pretend,
yeah,
to try to move around this thing on like on a plastic laminate card.
Yeah, that's the distinction where you just said pretend or to try. Is that's the part that I was seeing, and I was like, wait, is it pretend powers or is it real powers? But I guess if you want it to be a little bit confusing, right now,
it's like unclear.
Well, the child believes that they're real, right?
Yeah,
because like this psychic has introduced this concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way I read it was that she believes she can move stuff, but she actually can't, and it's just the Garmel that's tricking her. Like, she says, "Oh, try moving the clouds." So I love that little line. It's like, of course, like, the clouds are gonna move, so the kid's gonna believe it's her power, right? But it's like, to me, it felt more like the kid being innocent and gullible, but in a very in a childish way, which I think really draws us into the story. But I have I have two negative elements to the feedback I want to give. First, and one of them is for both of your stories. It's just that the formatting of the dialogue is a bit it's not standard. I mean,
yeah, I was wondering about this though. So sorry, continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a pet peeve. It's not a big deal. It's just like, I mean, the dialogue sometimes is hard to follow when it starts and ends in a block of text.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's just one thing. I mean, if that's your style, then it's totally fine. Just I want to point that out. The other thing is there's a tense change somewhere. I don't know if this was intentional.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It's the first part is in the part we read last week and the week before. No, the week before and the other week. It's past tense, but this one's half present tense, and there's some past tense mixed into it. And I think I don't think it's intended. It's just like at first I thought maybe you tried the exercise of like changing the tense to see what happens. Was that it?
Well, I was trying to work out, like, because one of the things that you said last week, or like the week before, was that like the point of view was really from, like, I think I'm trying to, from like a couple of people, and so I was trying to make it so it's very much from Alba, but in doing so, I was like, it was hard to like not make it past, but not future, but present. If that makes sense. Like because I was writing says, but then would write said, but in terms of like continuity between the sections, I think I was really trying to write from the perspective of the character in that time frame. I felt I was really having like trickiness with that while I was writing it.
Okay. It's just for the reader, it's kind of jarring.
Mm-hmm.
Like going from book to book, like you'll notice that the tense change at the beginning, but then after like a chapter, you're going to be in the story, but it's not going to matter. But in between, like 2 paragraphs, it's really hard.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But I mean, I love the dynamic between the sisters. It's like I love like the older kids being like, no, you gotta add feet. Like
yeah, that part's funny.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's not a human. It's like 2.5 feet. Right?
I feel like
and the other kid's like, no, it's an evening dress. Like I love the dynamic.
Did you like reread your thing, or did you just like write and then like?
I kind of skimmed it and then posted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could have like done some editing for sure.
Yeah, because there was like the same as last time. Like there were some punctuation things where I had to reread a sentence or two, but I mean that's like simple fixes that I'm sure you can do.
Yeah. I mean sometimes that's stuff that I myself catch on like a second pass. So like if I'll have posted something and then I'll be writing the next part, but then I reread the stuff before because I don't really remember everything.
Yeah.
And then I catch stuff and like, wait, hold on, this doesn't make sense, or like, wait, no, it should be. So it's like it's an ongoing process. So yeah, I think it would be worth it to go over the text maybe before posting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. I just have a question. Was there enough like, because I really wanted to localize like the action to what the sisters were doing, but is there kind of enough description of the basic environment that they're in?
I think so, especially from the other parts too. I can visualize it. I don't know if I'm visualizing the way you want me to visualize it, but I have a good image of where they are.
Yeah, I think sorry.
I was like, I don't know what Maggie noodles are, but I mean that's just a me thing.
Well, I guess I've like kind of kept it in Australian.
Yeah.
So Maggie noodles, they're like ramen, like instant ramen noodles that a 9-year-old would be able to cook for.
Okay, cool. I figured it was something like that when
we call them Maggie noodles because that's the brand name.
Okay.
And I think like I wrote like mum in there, but I changed, like I kept it as like the Australian / English spelling, you know?
Like MUM.
MUM, yeah.
Yeah, that's like less confusing because I didn't even notice that at all.
Mum said, "You'll get warts." Mum said, "Yeah." I love that little. It's like there's so many little details of like kids speaking to each other. That feels just so good. It's just really nice to read, really fun.
That connection and conversation is really good.
So okay, because it's like but it feels like children talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you've nailed the dialogue.
Because it's like it feels like I'm really trying to like not put my 30-year-old writing in, you know, like.
No, you did a really good job with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys.
Also, like I have to say, like the first paragraph, like I love the setting. Like I could totally vibe with it. It's like, yeah, hell yes. That's something. I don't know. I felt like targeted by this. But yeah. So,
cool.
I think we can move on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're being really effective, guys. 20 minutes.
Yay.
That's pretty good. Right.
Lila, this was long.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
I like fell into it very deep.
It really, like, as you said it would, like it gave so much context to your piece last week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like, I was just like eating it up. I was just like,
yeah.
It's like it makes so much sense. I think this is like when we do continual stories, like it's just so thrilling, right?
Yeah. So now you don't feel like he's an old man.
No, I just feel like he's unlucky. I feel lost, but in a totally different way now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's awful. Like,
yeah,
it's like I feel bad for him.
As you should. Yeah. I like how I laugh at that. Like, ha, feel bad for my character.
Yeah, but I don't know. I love the again, like the physicality of your, like the sensory details of your writing. Like I can't remember. I'll find the example again, but yeah, there's a bunch of little like tidbits of just like like when Olivia drinks the bottle and then when she like pops it out of her mouth, it cracks.
Yeah.
Like plastic bottles always do, and I was like, of course, yes, it's very nice. So stuff like that, it's always nice. Always.
Sometimes
also,
I worry that it's like too much unnecessary detail.
No.
Okay, good.
It's this stuff that grounds us in this story.
Okay.
No, it actually makes it a lot more tasty in a way, like because it really makes it feel like it's in the room with you in a way.
Because because your descriptions have so much more than just visual detail. It's like, you know, it's stuff that's hard to do, like the tactile quality of the writing and like the smells and the taste. Like I can feel the bottle cracking when I'm drinking. Just reading this, it's really good.
Cool. Thank you.
I really love in like the last paragraph. I think maybe one comment, like they're quite large paragraphs.
Yeah.
So just like keeping, like once again, like kind of keeping focus. It's a bit tricky, but they really like the lines just like really run into each other really beautifully. Like, and so in the last paragraph, where like there's just kind of like this pace and momentum of like pull up to the hotel sheet to cover the body sticking. Like I don't like how to like each sentence just like leads to the next one, and you're like just feeling the experience of this child whose mother isn't there. And like, so the character of the mother has literally just been like, it's not just like this woman who one day like left. It's actually, she's been a bit like odd, like from an early age. And so his memory is like kind of like these fragments of like waking up in the night and like kind of being like, but where is she? And then she comes and like is like, oh, here's a guitar, you know. And so it's kind of like the actual relationship between the mother and son is like kind of dysfunctional already.
Yeah.
and so it's like the picture of his life is actually like it feels like a little bit sad in terms of like his relationship to his mother, like for his whole life maybe.
Yeah, like seeing the relationship with his mother and just like the way his mother is kind of, I don't know how to say, like this disturbed, or she's like weird in a way. Yeah, I totally understand why he felt like a 40-year-old when reading the first time. It's like, yeah, it would be
good.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but even if he is in his early 20s and he had like a month of hard drinking, I feel like when you are in your early 20s, like a month of hard drinking feels like it was like a year of hard drinking or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like this kind of big experience that you had.
Yeah. I had a question. Oh gosh, if I can remember what it is. Oh yeah. Okay. Do you guys feel like, because obviously his story with his mother's like important, but it really drifts away from like the current part of the story and goes into, is it too much and too distracting from the current like events with the house and the girl next door? Is that too
it depends.
messy?
I don't think we're into it far enough to tell right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
It still feels like setting, like it still feels like the first act, setting things up, and getting the history, and so far I think it's fine. Well, for me, it's fine. I read fantasy, so like a big block of text, of background, it's just like tweets more. I love it. But yeah, it's just, I think it's fine.
Okay.
And
Talhia?
yeah, like
what do I think? I agree with Antoine that I really like this context. I feel maybe like including things like well, actually no, because you're including they're like you're going into the character and talking about his memory space, right? And this is really valuable because it informs like all of his decision making. Like you're just building like a very strong character here through giving his like relational relations that he has, and which you've done with his with Olivia, right? And even with Olivia's dad.
Okay, cool.
I just have to put a caveat to what I just said. It's like, I think it's fine right now because it's like we don't have enough of the story to tell. But at the same time, I think the more you go into his history with his mom, the more we're going to expect as the reader for it to be relevant and important and show up later in the story, right?
Of course, yeah.
It feels like it's being set up for a payoff later. Like she left the house and people in the other house, like, I've never really been there. Like, is that linked together? It's like, the more I was reading, the more I kind of thought that in the back of my head, and now I just realized. So I thought I'd put that up.
Yeah, like I have to make sure that all the information that I'm giving is important to the rest of the story, or else it's like. But also, I don't want to like make you guess I don't want you to know what's already gonna happen.
That's good.
By
That's
talking about the moment. Okay.
I want to know, but I don't want you. I don't want you to tell me.
To be honest, I don't know yet. So.
Never say that. Always say everything's planned. As a dungeon master, from experience, I know that if the players ask you, "Did you plan this?" you have to say yes. That's it. Just.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very important.
Okay. Then yeah, I know exactly what's gonna happen.
Good.
Cool.
But it's really lovely to read, Lila.
Yeah.
Like
Thank you.
Yeah. Like your writing style is like just very, very, very readable.
Yeah, Yeah,
Thank
it's very
you.
approachable.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Like, this is a lot of text. This is like 5,000 plus words, and I read this like.
I know. It was like I just like fell into it, and I was like,
That's great for you. Or happy for you.
Thanks.
Like, when this happens to me, it feels like the best thing in the world.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Doesn't really matter
Alright.
what comes out of it. It's just writing.
Yeah. I know there's already so many things that I'm like, I need to fix all these things, but at least I wrote like a lot and like good. Like I'm happy with what I wrote, so
Yeah.
except for like little things.
Mm-hmm. Also, why does
Cool.
Olivia run away with a crowbar? Did I miss that part? Or is that not in there yet?
Maybe you can guess if you like think about why she would need a crowbar.
She's gonna break into a house somewhere. But I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Now there's police tape all over it.
But Olivia's quite a character, isn't she? Because she's been like built up by her father as being like this quite like everyone's got this picture of her, right? But actually she's off with a biker.
Yeah.
It's like the dad wanting people to think his daughter of his daughter is like this good girl. He doesn't want people to know.
No.
I don't know. It's, again, just like a nice thing that I would never have thought of, but it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. No, like a reality couldn't be further from the truth, you know. But then you wonder if dad actually even knows, you know.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
All
right. I guess next Saturday.
yes. Do we keep it at 2 or do we move it at 4:30?
Is that all right if we move it?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
It's fine with me as well. It's
Yeah.
just, I still think that if we can submit our writing like early enough
Friday?
before Friday would
Yeah.
still be good.
I'm gonna try. I work Friday nights at the moment, and so this like good chunk of my day is kind of out. But I'm gonna thank you for the.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go now.
Okay.
Well, if we post even on Saturday mornings, I think that's fine. Like that's enough time. Like as long as we have a few hours to just like
Yeah.
or a few minutes if the piece is short. Like I had time to read yours in like not even 10 minutes, so that's fine too.
Even still, like I agree. Like my posting 30 minutes before is like I'll try to keep it earlier.
Life happens.
Yes.
Cool.
All right. Well,
Peace. Have a good
Bye,
week.
guys.
Bye.
see you next week,
You
guys.
too.
Keep writing. Keep
Yeah,
reading.
you too.
Try to sleep.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.